Okay.
What's up, everybody? This is episode 73 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. Shout outs to everybody that's been supporting us thus far. For those that, haven't seen any of my content, check it out on Facebook, YouTube, and IGTV. But without further ado, we have a very special guest here today. Or shall I say tonight? We have a coach that has coached on the college level, high school level, has coached Gauchos, Riverside Church, has coached in the PSAL, coached at SUNY Purchase, and is also an educator. Now, we welcome Mr. Reggie V Howard. Reggie, thank you for coming on to share your testimonial.
Hey, thank you, Dave, man. I've been watching what you've been doing, and at the end of the day, I just want to take my hat off to you. A very humble guy. I mean, from the perspective that you come from, being a photographer, and now you're doing this content-based interviews, it's a beautiful thing, man. Especially during this time, you're giving everybody an opportunity to speak their truth, man, their reality, and that's what we need, to share our voices, man. Exactly. So these young guys coming up, this generation can actually hear some stories, some real testimonies, how things used to be and how things are, and where we headed at with it. So thank you for having me on. Thank you.
Of course. And I actually did start with the editorial, which I have yet to go back to. I'm going to definitely do something. I'm going to definitely go back to doing editorial at some point. But for right now, this and the pictures is where it's at for me.
Okay.
But so my very first question for you is, what's Coach Howard's philosophy?
I have a simple philosophy, but actually it's one that I was taught by my mentor. It's about hard work and dedication. We always start our practices out after we stretch out. We always say hard work. If I say hard work, my players have to say dedication, because to us, hard work and dedication equals success. I don't think there's any other way around it. There's no secrets to this game. There's no mystery. Like, if you put in the necessary work, you're going to get the results that you need. You're going to move yourself forward. You're going to be competitive and get yourself prepared for the next level. But a lot of kids have to understand that there's no cutting corners with that. You have to put the work in. So hard work and dedication, for me, equals success. That's my philosophy of the game. It's always been.
Indeed. So when did basketball first start for you?
Wow. Whoa. Listen, Dave, I don't put my name out there, but I got half a century on this earth, man. And basketball for me started like when I was 9. I fell in love with this game at 9 years old, man. I'll never forget, man. At 9 years old, I was playing in Harlem in a league called the Bird League, Ali Edinburgh over in the bathhouse, right across the street from Kennedy Center. And I was 9 years old, and I was playing on my brother's team. My older brother, he had a 13-year-old team, a biddy team. So I was 9 playing with the biddies. And I kept begging my brother, yo, put me in the game. So he finally put me in the game. He was up by like 20, I think, in the first game. And my first shot, I took it from half court. It went straight in. My second shot from the corner went straight in. My third shot went straight in. And I was like, wow. And then my brother called timeout. And he told the guys on the team, the older guys, hey, listen, pass my brother the ball. He was like, you're not going to be passing your little brother the ball. But it was, for me, I'll never forget that moment. I fell in love with the game of basketball right then and there. It had me. Hook, line, and sinker, bro. I was his boy right then and there.
So you grew up in Mitchel Projects.
Yes. Talk about that. So talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in Mitchel Projects, here's the interesting thing in Mitchel. A guy who's at the Gauchos, retired coach, famous coach, Dave McCollin. He used to be a counselor inside our community center. And me and my friend KJ, Kenny Joy, that is, we convinced Dave to coach. Dave would have never even been a coach, to be honest. I mean, I stayed on that guy. Like me, I was not taking no for an answer. I was like, guy, we need a coach. We need you to coach us. We want you to coach us. We want you to coach us. And I kept doing that to him every single day, Dave, until he broke down. He said, okay, all right. These guys are going to keep annoying me. I'll coach y'all. And so he put together a team called the Mitchel Bullets. On that team was myself, Rod Strickland, Dedrick Irving, Kyrie's father, Byron Strickland, Kenny Joy, Tyrone Joy. That was the building base, man. We were the Mitchel Bullets. And the interesting story about that is that, at a certain point, Lou Dalmado, the founder of the Gauchos, he had approached Dave McCollin, to be a coach in the Gauchos. And so Dave, a part of that deal was Dave was like, well, you got to make my team, the young guys, be a part of your team. And so we basically, I say original Gauchos. I'm not saying anybody's not original, but we was on the first biddy and super biddy team in the history of the Gauchos. You know what I'm saying? You know, so yeah, that all came from Mitchel houses, man. Very competitive environment, man. Very.
Shout outs to Coach Dave, man. His episode actually came out today.
Okay.
Yeah, so whenever you get off, you can just check it out. You know, he definitely dropped some great jewels, but he definitely held Mitchel Bullets in high regard. And then again, if you really think about it, who knows what would have happened to the Gauchos had it not been for him not joining.
Yeah. It's an interesting point because, to be honest, I mean, Lou was a founder, a philanthropist, you know, and he was, the money backer back in the program, but he wasn't necessarily a coach like that.
Right.
You know, Dave was a coach. I mean, Dave was a guy who put his passions hard into what he do. He was like a mentor to us, a father figure to us, and, he took it very seriously, but we took it very seriously. I mean, we were very competitive, man. Our projects, we had 10 project buildings, 20 flights. I mean, so we come outside every day. It's like, okay, I got to play somebody. It's a battle, one-on-one, and so, it's just like iron sharpens iron. It makes you tougher, you know what I mean? So you playing against each other, and each and every day, it's like, okay, if you beat me today, I'll play you again tomorrow. That's how we were. So Dave got us, man, and we really put an effort in for him. And if Dave would have joined the Gauchos, it's a good point. Who knows, I mean, whether the Gauchos would be who they are without Dave McCollin coming on board.
Indeed. So,
shout out to Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what was it like growing up in the Bronx in the 70s, and what was the basketball culture like then?
Well, like I said, it was a competitive one because remember now, in the 70s, you're talking about a time where you had gangs, in the communities and stuff like that, and people were territorial. And if you, went to certain neighborhoods, if you didn't know anybody, whatever, you couldn't get a free pass. But if you was an athlete, sometimes they would give you a pass. They say, oh, I know that kid. You know what I'm saying? Or if your family was affiliated or something like that, in some shape, form, or fashion, they would have a little respect for you. But I mean, other than that, it was beautiful. I mean, there was a lot of families, especially in our project. We talked about this the other day. You had the Howards, the Stricklands, the Irvings, you know what I'm saying, the Lewises. It was a lot of families in the community. And at that time, the projects were like brand new. I mean, everything was like, the grass was green, it was beautiful. It's like you couldn't get on the grass. And in terms of sports, we played against each other very, very competitively. So we was out to make each other better. You know what I'm saying? So the 70s for me, it wasn't a bad time to grow up. It just was an opportunity to learn a little bit more about myself, who I am. And my mother used to keep us in the house all the time. And I never knew I had any kind of skills playing basketball or would have became a coach if she never would have let us outside. But she let us outside, and I discovered, hey, listen, I got a little bit of talent in. I could do this a little bit,
And
so
you grew up in a time where there was a lot going on when you were a teenager in the 70s. Like you had, there was heroin going on back then.
Yeah.
New York City was going broke.
Yeah.
The blackout.
That's
Son
right.
of Sam.
Yep.
You guys went burning buildings.
Hey, I remember when they had the blackout too. I was in '77 because the Yankees was playing in the championship against the Dodgers, and I mean, it was like lights went out. Everybody's like, "Hey, what's going on?" We thought it just was like a joke or something. Like, somebody's playing games with us. Then everybody went outside. Like, no, it ain't no lights. And so people was like, yo. So I mean, it was interesting. But we're saying, wow, how could New York City lose lights? The whole city, like, you know what I'm saying? Unheard of. We see that stuff in movies, but I mean, we actually lived through it. And like you said, the Son of Sam was, I mean, this guy was like, who knows? He was a psycho. You know what I mean? A guy who needed some help, mental health issues he had, obviously. And he was out there, doing what he was doing, murdering people. But 70s, it was very interesting, though. Very interesting, for me.
So, like, in those days, what were some of the tournaments that you loved playing in?
Oh, we played in Citywide. I'll never forget. We played in Citywide up in the Valley. And they used to have Citywide up in Baychester Avenue. It was real hot up there. And being that we from the South Bronx, man, we used to be like, oh, it's hot up there. Because if you go up there, up to the valley, the swimming pool is over there near Haven Pool.
Right.
It's smoking over there, bro, in the summertime. Back in the days, you had the tennis courts over there. You could fry an egg on the ground. You know what I mean?
Wow.
We'd be out there like, hey, dude, let's hurry up and beat this team and get out of here. You know what I mean? Or either let's try to, let's play real fast, and then let's try to get out of it because it's so hot out here. It was like, it felt like it was hot. There was no buildings to duck behind, no shower. I didn't see any showers at the swimming pool, but, for us, it was about showers, for projects. But we played in Citywide mainly. Then we played over in Stone Gym. We played in a couple tournaments. They had the baskets down at that time because Dave was a new coach and bringing us out there. He had to see, all right, let me see if I'm going to put the kids in tournaments. We played against a couple of guys who were really good players and good teams back in those days, man. I mean, Rodney Johnson, Kenny Smith. Those guys had a good crew coming out from Queens. Uptown, you had James Pookie Wilson and Ronald Mathias, Terminator, them guys. You had a lot of guys who were really dedicated to the game. It was young too coming up. We all
continue
with what?
So yeah, you were saying about how at that time Coach Dave had you guys in a couple tournaments.
Yeah, he did. He had us in Stone Gym. We had a tournament over there. We played up in Citywide, up in the Valley. What else we played? We played in a couple more tournaments. UDC wasn't out at that time. It was a couple tournaments that we played in. We played in our community. We played in Eastside House tournaments because in our neighborhood, you have 5 projects over there. You have Millbrooks over there. You have Patterson. You have Mitchell. You have Mount Havens. So we always had a tournament with, neighborhoods versus neighborhoods. So we was playing against, round robin style, Eastside House tournaments. And we was building a name for ourselves. You know what I mean? Basically. Back then, it wasn't an array of tournaments like it is now. It was a limited number of tournaments, but we was a new team, and we was just trying to make our way. You know what I mean? Find our way.
Absolutely. So, what high school did you play for?
Actually, I went to Lehman High School, but here's the story. I didn't play for Lehman High School. I went to Lehman High School. This was back in 77. Yeah, I think it was, yeah. And I played JV the first year, averaged about 30 a game. And then my sophomore year, I tried out for the varsity. The coach didn't like me. He had to like the guys that was in his gym class. So I went and played for Riverside. I played for Mr. Lloyd. Mr. Lloyd should take care of me. He was like, nah, you can play. And the athletic director was like, at my school at Lehman, he's like, nah, don't worry about it, Reggie. I'll take care of you. I'll get you a scholarship. Because the coach, he doesn't know what he's doing. You're the best kid I've seen it. And I was in a college-bound program. A lot of the kids who were on the team at that time, they was taking the regular classes. I was taking the advanced courses. I had an 85 average, so I had to study really hard at the same time. And he noticed that. But I was a good athlete. But once the varsity coach didn't take notice with me, I just played with Riverside. And then he wanted me to play my 11th and 12th grade year. But I said, nah, Mr. Lloyd was, give me sneakers and, you take care of me going on. His winter schedule, I was like, I'm traveling to Montreal. We traveling all over the place. We playing against, college JV teams. And, so I was having more of a better experience playing with them at that time than I would have if I had just played in high school, to be honest. But I did feel that I should have made – a lot of the guys who did play that time said, nah, Reggie, the coach made a mistake. You should have been on that team. Absolutely. You should have been on that team. To this day, I talk to some of my friends who was on the team. They say, nah, man, I said, come on, dude. I should see you in gym. I should give you 30, 40. He's like, nah, it's true. He said, yo, it's true. He said, I always thought you had an attitude, Reg, because coach didn't pick you, so you used to take it out on us. I said, yeah, that's exactly what it was. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
It was funny.
How does you were very talented and was basically the caliber player that should have been on the team, but yet the coach jerked you and didn't put you on. How far did they go without you?
Well, sometimes, and I'm a coach now, so I can see that now. Sometimes we don't look with that kind of an eye. We look with another kind of eye. Hello, right. Dave?
Mm-hmm.
Froze, Dave. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sometimes as coaches, they don't look with that kind of eye. They look with another eye. It's like you see who you like. and you may see a kid who you know may be better, but if you particularly like this kid, then you feel invested with that kid, and the kid who may necessarily might be better, you know. But the funny thing is, the varsity, I never was in the gym class with the varsity coach. But then when I got into his gym class, the first time I got into his gym class, true story, Dave, we played together 3-on-3, man. He set a pick for me. I came with the pick. I threw it behind the back pass underneath the guy's legs. He caught it later and said, hey. He stopped the game right there and pulled me to the side and said, you know what? I made a mistake. He said, yo, I should have been had you on the team. I said, this is what Doc was trying to tell you. He said, no, you know what? You're right. And then he kept begging me, but I said, no, I'm good. I'm good.
That's good for him. Now he saw what he lost.
Yeah, he really did. Because I would come in the gym class and he was like, yo, I never knew that you was this talented. You know, I said, yeah, but you know, the other guys on the team, they know. You know, they didn't want to say anything because they didn't want me coming to the team and taking their shine, I guess, or getting the light. But it was all good. You know, live you learn. But that's an experience that I always wish I would have had, though, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? You know,
but what year did you graduate from Lehman?
It was like around 81.
Shout outs to the graduating class, to the Lehman High School graduating class of 1981. Go Lions.
Hey, say no more. I was original back then. There wasn't too many African Americans in the building at that time, bro. You know what I'm saying? We used to have to hold it down, Dave.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just, you know, it was like, he was like, maybe what? We made it comprised of maybe 10%, 15% of the facility. That's it.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of Italians in the building, a lot of Caucasians, you know, it wasn't too many Latinos. And basically, you know, we stuck together. You know,
it's funny. So I interviewed Rochelle Jones, who played at UConn. So his school, Trinity Catholic, which is no longer in existence. When he went there, I guess he was one of two black students at the school.
Wow.
So as he was getting good and he was getting a lot of publicity, enrollment went up of African American students.
It's amazing.
So basically, he helped them gain a lot of enrollment.
Yeah. One person can do it, depending on that individual. You know? I mean, so it was a good experience, bro. At the end of the day, though, I got a good education. And the funny thing is, I was a good athlete. I played tennis. I was the best player in tennis in school. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I played. They said, this guy's an athlete, man. You know, tennis coach was like, yo, you should try to be Arthur Ashe. I said, nah, man, I'm okay, man. I just wanted to do it I just wanted to do it to do it. I mean, like, I thought it was interesting, you know what I'm saying, to do different things. I play any sport, football, you know, I even went out to hit baseball with Bobby Bonilla a couple of times. He was like, yo, Reg, you should join the baseball team. I was cracking him. He was like, yo, man, you just talented. I said, but anyway, it is what it is, you know. And the funny thing, I got an award as an athlete. You know what I'm saying? This dude was a top athlete in the school, but it didn't play varsity basketball. That's, you know, so go figure.
So, how did City College come into play?
Well, I attended City College after that. I went to City College, and I mean, to be honest, I was gonna go away to school. Mr. Lloyd's had a school for me, but I didn't want to go to the junior college he wanted to send me to. I wanted to go to a straight 4-year Division I school, and he was like, I ain't got a really, really good deal for you at this time, so you have to take this school somewhere in Texas. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I said, I'll stay home with my mother. And then my mother said, no, you got to accept the City College. Why don't you go to City College? I said, you know what? I'm going to go to City College. So I stayed here in the city, and I went to college right here in the city, New York and Harlem, Convent Avenue. And it was a good experience, man. Great. I mean, I learned so much, man. This is where things begin to get interesting for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, Dave, honestly, my journey in basketball was incredible. At City College, I got a chance to play for a guy named Floyd Lane. So Floyd Lane is a mentor, a coach. I was a captain of the ball team for 2 years. He was on the only team at City College to ever win the NIT and the NCAA championship, 1949, 50, I think it is, 50. And, you know, he would have made it to the pros, but at that time he had caught up with some kind of, you know, scandal.
That scandal, yeah, the point shaving.
The point shaving scandal, yeah. And so he was caught up, but I mean, he was bitter behind that, but I mean, I learned so much from that man, you know, because he had that head, that old head, and ran old plays, and I understood his mind, you know, and he made us stick to our plays, you know, he made us stick to it. He would read articles to us. He did things from an unconventional fashion, practice-wise. And then, you know, when I found out about the NCAA NIT thing, some of the guys he was bringing in practice, they were on that team. So they would talk to us, talk to me, whatever. And then I was fortunate enough, Dave, because I went to City College. When we had our alumni award banquets, you know, my last name is Howard. I sat right next to Red Holzman. I didn't even know who the guy was at first. I said, what's he said? Holzman. This guy was the coach for the New York Knicks. You know
legendary. Won
right.
two championships.
Dave, and so I'm sitting there, and he's talking to me about basketball and ways to look at it, different perspectives. And I was like, I'm blessed. I got Floyd Lane. I got, I got this guy, Red Holzman, who he learned a lot from Nat Holman. The gymnasium in City College named Nat Holman Gymnasium. And I did my research and found out that Nat Holman actually was a good proponent for Red Auerbach, helped the Celtics and stuff like that. So in Mitchel, like you said, just doubling back a little bit in the 70s, Tiny Archibald was our mentor. He came from our same community. He would be in a community center 3 times a week. So we used to look at him, study him, So I learned from Tiny Archibald. I had Dave McCollin as a coach. I had Floyd Lane as a coach. I had discussions with Red Holzman. I talked to Nat Holman several times. We played in Madison Square Garden. I got MVP in '84. I think it was a doubleheader. We played first against NYU and then St. John's, and Georgetown played after that. But I saw John Thompson come through the door, bro. Listen, I thought I was trying out for the Hoyas, man. You couldn't tell me, man. I went off. I was like, oh, John Thompson, Reggie Williams, Patrick Ewing. I'm going to do my thing right now. And I did my thing. But I learned from a lot of old heads and gurus in the game. So I felt really blessed, So I'm just putting all this knowledge in my head, about different people's philosophy of the game, So who could be better than that? You know what I mean? Graduated from the city, went back and became a coach there, in the early 90s, So, it's an amazing experience.
So you graduated from City College in '85?
86, actually.
Okay. Shout outs to the City College graduating class of 1986.
Yeah.
All right. So, you said you went to coaching. Talk about about those early years.
Oh man, I never knew, Dave, I was gonna be a coach. Cause our dream was always to play in the NBA. But after I graduated, I'm sitting around in my neighborhood, and my older sister's like, "Hey, you got a college degree? Why don't you go get yourself a job, whatever?" I walked into my old junior high school on 339 Morris Avenue, the Paul Robeson Complex, which was IS 183 at the time, which is now Bronx Letters now at the time. And the principal, he remembered me. He said, "I remember you." I said, "Listen, I need to get a job." He gave me a job there as a gym teacher. And I fell in love with the kids, man, and I just started coaching them. And I said, you know what? I like doing this, because I had that mindset from Dave and from Tiny and from, from all these guys, and absorbing that knowledge of the game. I wanted to give it to somebody. So I started coaching in junior high school right there, IS 183, junior high school. From there, I went to Salesian High School, freshman team, coached them in the early 90s. Crazy, because they brought their JV team into my middle school. We beat them. I had 8th graders beating 11th graders, 10th, 11th graders. The guys, what are you doing, man? I said, no, these kids from Cypress, from Patterson, from Mitchell houses, they were tough, man. They don't back down from anybody. So,
So you brought kids from our neighborhood over to Salesian.
Yeah, and that was a part of the deal, because Salesian, once I beat him, the coach, what happened was the head coach at the time had got into something, and so they ended up moving him out. And so they moved the JV coach, who's a close friend of mine right now. His name is Joseph Meade. Joe Meade is a scout for the Utah Jazz right now. He became the varsity head coach. And then the freshman coach moved to JV, and so the former head varsity coach said, listen, it's a guy over in this middle school. You need to go get this guy, because we came and scrimmaged him, and he got some players over there. So I told him, man, if you want my players, you got to give him a full scholarship deal in Salesian, and you got to let me coach him. They said, no, that's what we want. We want you to coach him. So I took like 4 kids over there. 4 kids over there. 4 kids, man. Wow. Right from the neighborhood, man, to get an experience like that, man. their eyes were wide open, Dave. They were like, wow, they never seen a campus like that, anything like that, So these are beautiful grass campus up there,
Man, that's
So
cool, man. So, let's talk about hold on. The Gauchos, coaching the Gauchos. How did that begin?
here's the truth. I'll give you the story. I took my junior high school team, and a friend of mine, Dave Jones, who was the athletic director at the time. He was in there. He was running the Gauchos, and we were competing. They had a kid on their team named Felipe Lopez. I'll never forget. I said, wow, who's that kid, Dave? He said his name is Felipe. This kid was dunking on us, but we was competitive. We was playing real hard. He said, Dave's like, Reg, I like your teams, man. Your teams play hard. Because Dave was from Patterson as well. So I said, listen, Dave. He said, Reg, why don't you come over and coach the Gauchos? I was a Gaucho. I said, you know what? That's a good idea, Dave. So I came over. I decided, back then it was the early 90s. I said, I'm 94, 95, around there. I came in there, said, I'm going to coach Gauchos. You know what I mean? And I came and I coached Gauchos, and wow, what an experience, Dave. My first responsibility was to coach a young man named Andre Barrett, Andre Sweet, Edmund Turkson. These guys was on the first biddy team that I coached, and we never lost a game in Citywide. 3 years, 3 consecutive divisions. We went undefeated, pretty much. We won, biddies, midgets, and junior divisions. And then, Lou just moved me up and let me coach with the seniors. I went to Hawaii and Vegas and stuff with Dave, and then got a chance to coach with Stephon Marbury and Jamel Thomas and Hashimu Evans and Gary Saunders. These are all D1 players, high D1s. Charlton Clark went to UMass. Who else? Rob Harris went to Buffalo. Solomon Abel went to St. Francis. Jamel Thomas, he went to Providence, 530. So we had an awesome squad. We kept our rosters stacked. And we was like the number 1 AU team in the country, pretty much. At the time, everybody wanted to play with us because we had it. We had Steph, we had Felipe, we had a program that was popping. The side was there, but everywhere I went, I have cards to this day from coaches from around the country. They was behind our benches wherever we went. Michigan, Louisville, Syracuse, they were right behind the bench, trying to get after one of those players because they're always high D1 players. And Ramel Lloyd also, forgot, shout out to Ramel Lloyd. Ramel Lloyd was on that team as well. He went to Syracuse. And his son is like the number 1 player in California right now. Tough, rock, man. It's an amazing experience, man. Vegas, man, we won where we went at pretty much. And we won here in the city for all the tournaments citywide. Rucker, UDC mostly, we won those tournaments. And it was a great experience for me to come back because I was an original Gaucho. Now I'm coaching Gauchos. And that just broadened my horizons, in terms of the pressure. Because when it's the AU ball, it's a lot of pressure, And when you have a good team, you're expected to win. You know what I mean? It's not like, okay, it's not a given. It's what have you done for me lately? That was our philosophy. Imagine this, Dave. You win 10 tournaments in a row, and 11th tournament you lose. And they say, hey, listen, man, you lost. You know what I mean? Like, you're a loser. So with Lou, his whole mentality was like, yo, we have to win. Our younger teams, I had Majestic Mac, I had Hector Almodovar. Hector's a coach at Riverside now. Muggsy, Von Damian Green, he went to Manhattan. These kids was Majestic went to Syracuse. No, he went to Virginia. This is from St. Raymond's to Virginia. And my youngest team, the last year I coached in Gauchos, I had Julius Hodge, who you had on the show. Jules was my man. You know what I'm saying?
The Jules of Harlem.
Oh, come on, man. Jules, man. Jules, I always knew Jules was going to be really good. Always. I told Andre and these guys, I said, listen, man, Julius is coming for you guys, man. They be like, oh, come on, Reg, we ain't worried about it. I said, listen, man, that dude is going to be good, man. He had a determination in him as a little kid, man. He would get so frustrated and upset because he didn't like to lose. And it's something like, okay, you can accept losing. For him, it's like, nah, failure is not an option. I said, this kid is going to be successful. You know what I mean? Because his heart was on his sleeve, right here on his shoulder. And so, he always kept a chip. He always kept a chip right there. So when you have a chip on your shoulder, you got to play to that. You know what I'm saying? You have to play to that. You can't play beneath your chip. Otherwise, what is it doing on your shoulder?
That's
You
true.
know what I'm saying, Dave? So I can go on a litany of players, guys we had that I coached in Gauchos with. It was a great experience for me. And what I did, because I had a degree, was I moved on to the college realm. You know, from Gauchos, I started coaching City College, assistant coach, varsity. Then I went to Lehman College. You know.
And for a time, you were at SUNY Purchase.
Oh,
Talk
man.
about that experience, man.
Now, Dave, like I was telling you before, imagine when I tell you Red Holzman, right? All these guys I came across. So now, how do I end up getting a head coaching job at the facility where the New York Knicks are actually practicing? My God. Listen, I mean, could it get any better? I mean, I'm sitting here now. Each and every day I come to work now. I'm the building manager. This is 1996. Let me just take you back. I'm gonna take your mind on a picture. You walk into a facility, you're the building manager, and you go upstairs and you see Jeff Van Gundy, and you see Tom Thibodeau, you see Don Chaney, you see Brendan Malone. This is every day. And then the players, you see Patrick coming in. And this is 96, next one, you had Larry Johnson, you had Charles Oakley, John Starks. This is the Knicks. I mean, they diving on the floor, loose balls, Allen Houston, who would never miss. So I warmed up Allen Houston one morning, and I ain't lying to you, Dave. That guy made shots for an hour straight. I never seen nothing like that in my life.
He didn't miss.
There was not one time. Because I used to hang around him. I wanted to work with him. I went in, I saw Jeff Van Gundy. I said, Jeff, this is amazing. I said, this is what an NBA coach's office look like? He was like, I don't know, but this is what my office look like. And then, I'm coaching the team. Ernie Grunfeld walks across. He's the general manager at the time. Ernie says, are you the coach here? I said, yeah. So I went over the side. We start talking. Guess who he looked up to, Dave, when he was a young boy?
Tiny
Floyd Lane. Not only Tiny, Floyd Lane,
wow.
All the guys that played for me in City College. Because remember, they were the NCAA NIT champions.
Right.
And in the 50s, then Ernie ended up going to Tennessee with Bernard King. But I'm saying, listen, in the 60s, so they looked up to those guys. He said, I said, no, I'm the captain of the team. I said, yeah, I know Red Holzman, and that home. He said, wow. He was like, he said, listen, anything I can do for you, man. I became like family to me. He loved me after that. They loved me, man. Jeff and they loved me. They had a lot of respect for me because I would do things for them contractually, the contractors. And then as a basketball coach, I won a championship there in 2 years. My second year, I won the Hudson Valley Conference as a coach up there at SUNY Purchase. So that had never been done before, So we cut down the nets. Here's the story. Check this out. We cut down the nets, right? The Knicks came back off the coast, the West Coast. And they were like, where's the nets at? What's going on? I said, Jeff, this is what champions do. They cut down the net, brother, man. He was like, huh? He said, so they laughed. It was like, this guy cut down that. I said, yeah, we won the championship in our conference tournament. They would say, congratulations, Reggie. So, I said, nah, man, so I'll put some brand new nets up. I just want you to see what it feels like to cut down the nets. It was one little inside joke with them, So they were like, this guy right here. But they loved me, though. They knew I was all basketball. I was all about basketball. And I learned so much from those guys, Dave. I mean, when you're around professionals, you learn from the people you're around. Let's be honest. If I had to give you any advice, or anybody advice out there, you learn from the people you're around. There's something you can learn from everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm around the pros, not the Joes, the pros. So I'm looking how they walk, how they talk, how they carry themselves. As a matter of fact, I was like, listen, if the Knicks throw anything out to my custodians, make sure you bring it to my office. I want to see it. I got a chance to see workouts. I mean, postseason training, preseason training, each and every day, what they ate. I got downstairs to see Jeff Van Gundy's board, what he wrote for the pregame, postgame speeches. It was like a basketball master's class. You understand? Where you're right there and you're learning from the very best. And then every day, I got a chance to talk to Don Chaney, who played for the Boston Celtics, and Tom Thibodeau was right there. Shout out to Tom Thibodeau. He's the head coach of the New York Knicks again. He was there at the time. Brendan Malone's son is at Denver Nuggets now. So, I mean, you're talking to these guys every day. I'm just picking up more and more knowledge, ways to look at perspectives of the game of basketball, man. And what better than the pros? Their plays, everything in which they ran. I modeled my team after their team, and I've always kept that with me moving forward, all those different perspectives of the game of basketball, but from some of the best, some of the highest. I feel so blessed. God has blessed me. I always wanted to tell this story, because people understand, like, how does this guy know? So this is where it came from for me. It just came from tiny Gauchos, then from Dave McCollin to tiny, from him to Floyd Lane, and from Floyd Lane to, to learning from being around the Knicks. And it just, amazing, amazing.
That's big right there, man.
Oh,
like, how did it feel having an NBA team come to your college? Like, I know it sucks for the current Purchase kids now because the Knicks, they have their own facility in Greenburgh now. But how was it back then?
Well, for me, it was a recruiting tool. I recruited kids, and how I got good kids. I would come to the games and watch some of the kids in St. Raymond's varsity B team, because, Mount St. Michael's B team, the best kids on the B team who might not go to a really big school. I was like, no, I'm going to get this kid. He's 6'7", sitting on the bench. Or the kids who sit on the bench on the varsity A team who don't play at all. I will bring them up. We had brand new facilities. It's like Division I facilities. Swimming pool, state-of-the-art weight center. We had a bowling alley. You know what I'm saying? We had vans. We had apartments. We had dormitories. I would get guys on tours of the campus because we have a beautiful campus up there, apartments, and then I would bring them into the gym. The lights was off, and I would just turn on the lights. You know what I'm saying? And when the lights come on, Dave, they see New York Knicks on the floor. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
They say New York Knicks on the floor. They said, wow. I said, yeah, Knicks practice here. So you get a chance to see the Knicks. You know what I mean? From time to time, you come by here. Sometimes if they be coming in or coming out. And one of the most amazing stories with the New York Knicks, I want to tell you, Dave, is remember when the Knicks played the Miami Heat in the playoffs?
Which year?
And Jeff Van Gundy got into that thing. He ran onto the court with Larry Johnson.
98.
Got into that little scuffle.
Oh, yeah, when he grabbed his leg. That was funny.
So, we from the hood, so we like, that's funny. Hold up. So I'm the building manager now still. So mind you, the next day, up in SUNY Purchase in the gymnasium building, don't you know it was 1,000 microphones there? It was every news agency, even the Spanish news agency, you name it, they all was there. They had a microphone in front of this guy, Jeff Van Gundy, like, yo, what were you thinking about? I had a front row seat because I'm helping guys set up their microphones. That was part of my job. So, outside of coaching, when he came out to give the speech, I was literally like this close to him, Dave, just this close. I wanted to hear every word he had to say. I wanted to hear what he had to say. And one thing I will say about Jeff Van Gundy, he always stood up for his players. You know what I mean? He always stood up for his players to a man. He wouldn't let them come out in the papers. He would take the hits. And I respected that. What he did, it was insanity. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he was coming out to try to protect his play. But I'm like, guy, you're like, what, 5 feet and 100 pounds? What are you like? This guy is 6'10", like 265 pounds. So, but it was amazing, man. I learned so much from them guys, man. Yeah, it was amazing being around those guys, man. Picking up things from them guys.
Shout out to SUNY Purchase. I actually been there a couple times.
Okay.
My friend Shay's day. Shout out to Shay. She used to work at Purchase.
Okay.
She she let me drive a go-kart around campus. I actually got to see what campus is like. The campus is pretty cool. I even went to this thing called Pancake Madness a couple times.
Oh man, so I remember that. Yeah, we used to do Pancake Madness, man. That was amazing, man. That was one of the big things for Purchase, Pancake Madness, though. So everybody would come in their pajamas and they make the pancakes. Guys be eating their pancakes, going crazy. I'm like, that was one of the big things for Purchase. They have a great dance program up there, an acting program up there. Wesley Snipes went there. It's a few actors. That's a lot of them. That's in these commercials that they went there, but they wasn't really sports related. So when I came, they was like, "Oh, this guy's about sports." there was only 2 teams in the school at that time, the college. The boys basketball team and the volleyball team, girls. So where that program is now is where I was pushing them to go. You know what I'm saying? You know, at that point, I was pushing them to be in the Skyline Conference where they are right now. Back then, I don't think they were ready for that, though, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and as a building manager, you know, when I left that facility, it was because of building manager. It had nothing to do with coaching basketball. You know, because building manager, I was African-American, and, you know, all the building managers in the SUNY system were making 125, 130, 140,000. And it was like, yo, we ought to give this young African-American guy $135,000. It was so,
getting that
you know,
much? They was getting that much money?
Listen, as a building manager, they started no less than 110, 125. Back then, yeah. Yeah. I went to a meeting.
Imagine what they getting now.
Yeah. You know, and I said, wow, building managers in the SUNY system, they make a good piece of change. You know what I mean?
They make money.
Yeah. It was amazing. But it was a great experience, though, Dave. You know, SUNY Purchase. And a lot of that stuff I learned, I just took with me coming back into the city and getting involved in the high school and training with the kids up in New York. You know what I mean? Working kids out, you know, and training kids. And then say, you know what, let me get back into coaching. But when I left SUNY, I did coach at one more college, though, before.
Lehman College. I
did Lehman, but it was New York City Technical College down in J Street. Yeah, got the head coaching job there. This was like 99, you know, after I left SUNY Purchase. And I only stayed there 1 year. I carried the program 1 year because the guy came out of retirement, the athletic director. And I didn't get a chance. I took the job actually with 3 weeks before the season started. So it was a rough season, but, you know, a lot of the plays I had were intramural type plays. I didn't get a chance to build my own team, you know. But, I mean, another head coaching job I put on my resume, opportunities to develop a program, which I love to do, work with young men, help them, direct them, guide them, mentor them, put them on the right path, you know, the right track. To understand, like, to me, it's always about boys to men, you know. So, you know, you have to be it. Everybody needed somebody. I had people that was there for me, so each one teach one. You know what I mean? That's what it is, you know.
And then you went to the dark side, Riverside.
Yeah.
So, now talk about your time with the church.
Well, Riverside
as an
came
assistant.
about.
Sorry, as a coach.
As a coach, I went to Riverside because my man Dave Jones went there. Dave Jones, I tell you, was the athletic director at Gauchos. And when he had left Gauchos because of a health reason, after he got his health and stuff together, he came back into coaching, but he ended up going to Riverside. So he was talking to Mr. Lloyd. He said, Mr. Lloyd, man, you know, Reggie's available. You should get this guy. He was like, oh, yeah, I know. I remember Reggie. So he's like, okay, tell him to come down to the church. I came down to the church, and right away, man, you know, he put me to see. So you're coaching seniors in college. I'm saying right away. I said, all right. No problem, Lloyd. So I went down there. Once again, I mean, you're talking about a lot of D1 players. You know, a lot of D1 players in Riverside. The seniors, when I first got down there, you had guys like Ricky Soliver, you know, Jason, a bunch of kids, you know, really, really talented kids down there, you know. And then the senior team I coached specifically, my team, I had Lenny Cook on that team. I had Jermaine Maybank on that team, you know, who ended up going professional Australia, went to St. John's. I had Jason Stamper, was on that team. He's a Manhattan Center superstar, ended up going to Independence, Kansas, then going to Minnesota. Had another kid named Dave Sills, who was the Enigma. He played out Rucker with me with Homicide and with Bone Collector. You know, we never even lost a game. We never lost a game with that team. Them guys, it was just Lenny Cook was too much, man. Jermaine Maybank was too much. They were too much, man. You know, them guys, they were just too determined, man. You know, Lenny Cook, he put 35 on you in a hurry, in a heartbeat. You know, a heartbeat. Jermaine Maybank would put 25, 30 points in your face in a heartbeat with 4 dunks. You know, like, he ain't gonna stop. He's from Cyprus. He ain't playing around the Bronx. You know, and then Jason Stamper was a workhorse. This guy was a 20-20 guy, double guy. You know, he get 20 points, 20 rebounds every single time he stepped on the court. Hardest working 6'5", 6'6" guy I know. Went to Minnesota, had a great career. You know, so I worked at Riverside. We won UDC tournament. We won Rucker. We won, you know, all the tournaments. I coached Anthony Glover and Rucker, Sharif Fordham. You know, Bronski went to St. Francis. You know, Anthony Love and St. John's. I mean, it was a lot of top flight players at Riverside, man. I just went there because, you know, I had to stay relevant in terms of coaching. Like, okay, when you're a coach, that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So when I'm off of the sidelines, I got an itch. Like, when I left the colleges for a while, I created a program up in the Bronx, you know, but I was like, I needed something a little bit more with edge to it, you know? And so Dave was like, come down to Riverside. I went down there and I coached. I only stayed there like, what, I think it was 2 summers, a year, 2 summers maybe.
Right.
And that was it.
You know what's funny? Both Dave McCollin and Dave Jones, they were both Gauchos guys that eventually ended up going to Riverside, aka the dark side. That's interesting. I wonder how Lou D felt when his former coaches went on to coach for the rival program.
Well, you know, here's the thing I learned at the end of the day. Lou had a different style than Ernie. But at the end of the day, they both were philanthropists. They both were pretty much like founders. They was backing the programs and helping kids to get to schools and paying tuitions. At the end of the day, you know, if we went over there, Lou probably understood because at the time he was somewhere else and Dave's mind was somewhere else as well. And so, you know, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go over here. It could have been financial. It could have been it's the coach, but I'm really not coaching here. It could have been a disagreement or a misunderstanding or something. For me, it wasn't. You know, I had left Gauchos coaching. I had went, you know, coached to college. When I came back, Dave wasn't there anymore, Dave Jones. You know what I'm saying? He was at Riverside, and that was my guy. So Dave brought me into the Gauchos. That's my guy. So, you know, Dave said, yo, Reg, come over here. I'm like, all right. You know, I was his assistant, and then Dwayne Mitchell was my assistant, you know, when I was in Gauchos. You know, it's a bunch of things that people don't know, man. Like, this is really happening. That's my guy. We work with all those young players together. Me and Dwayne, we worked together with those guys, man. You know, I assisted Dave. It was, you know, we all worked together. Tommy had his own program. Tommy Swinton was there. Fred Neal was there. These guys' names are on the court now. You know, Dave Jones, Fred Neal court in the Gauchos gym now. You know, so it was just, I don't think it was a thing that Lou felt bad about it. I think that, you know, the guys as adults was in different spaces at that particular time, you know? And so the opportunity that came before them was right here in front of them, which was that. And so people understand, like, if you're a coach, you're going to coach. If I don't have an opportunity here in Gauchos, then I'm just move forward and do something different. And, you know, at the end of the day, coaching is coaching because what are we doing? We're helping kids.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, we're still helping kids. We're achieving our goal in terms of being a mentor, you know, and we're doing things that a lot of people out here may not fully understand. You know what I mean? You know, because today it's a business now. You know, I did it for love. It wasn't always for the money for me. You know, it's a business now.
The sad part is a lot of people, they don't want to do it for the love. You know, I mean, I understand that people's bills need to get paid, but when you're doing that, it's like, okay, you could really see what people's intentions really are. And if you're doing it for the money, it's kind of like you will never be happy because there's always going to be bills to pay. You're always going to have things that you're going to need. So you got to have some type of incentive to be doing things.
No, I agree. For me, it's always been love. I was a teacher, so I was an educator for all these years. I'm talking about I was in the DOE at the same time. As I'm coaching all these things we're talking about, I maintained the job as a New York City school teacher, except when I had my college days. You know, I came in for 7 to 8 years. I got out in 94. I was doing all my coaching and stuff like that. Around 99, 2000, I got right back in the DOE again. And I've been in there ever since, you know what I mean? So my thing is I always had that regular job. But at the same time, I just love coaching them. It's something that I love to do. I like to see kids develop. I like to help kids see them achieve their goals and make it from one level to the next level. Some people, you know, I mean, I understand, but at the same time, I know what you're talking about, and you're right. You're right. You know what I mean? You're absolutely right. I mean, I did it for the love. And then kids who always worked out with me and who played for me, they always speak to that. Like, you know, you always, you know, you care for us, Coach Howard. You put a lot of energy and effort into us. When I came back into the DOE, I went to MS 127, and I mean, we won the city championship, middle school, you know, 2009, 2010. #1 middle school in the city. You know, we beat all boroughs. We won the New York City Middle School Basketball League. We won the CHA.M.P.S League. I just love, you know, helping kids to get into good high schools and grow, you know, and develop. So then that way, I want them to do the same thing too, to some shape, form, or fashion. It was done for you, so you do the same thing as well. You know what I mean? It don't always have to be just about money. It could be to some extent, but that should be the end all be all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know?
Exactly.
At the end of the day, because what if the kid don't have it? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the nonprofits come in. You know, I created a nonprofit, you know, Forever Achieving Basketball Program. And I have that. It's on the shelf now, but it's always been about charity. You know what I mean? To give back. You know, pay it forward. You know?
Right. I was gonna ask about that later on, but
okay. Sorry.
Of achieving. So you said that's not in existence anymore?
Well, what it is like this. Like I have the program. I was running I started in the Beacon over there in West Farms. I used to get that gym when I came out of coaching from Purchase. And I said, well, let me do something meaningful in the community. I went over in the community and I applied for 501c3. I got it. I started the program. I was coaching kids. But you know what you do when you have a program, you need a team. What was amazing, I was able to get nonprofit tax exempt status by myself. But I mean, you know, after a while, when I started coaching high school, I was like, okay, you can't, either you're going to do one or the other. So Rucker became my priority. You know what I'm saying? And so when Rucker became my priority, you know, I took that program and just, you know, just put it on the shelf right there and just said to myself, okay, you know, you can sit here for a while. I'm going to dust it off and take it off the shelf like a trophy and can put you back out there. But at the end of the day, I started doing Rucker, and everybody know Rucker just became something. Everybody said, oh, Rucker High School, Rucker. Coach Howard's over there at Rucker High School. It became like, got the name. People didn't even know Rucker had a high school, you know? I was like, you in Rucker Park? No, this is Rucker High School. I sent over 30 kids to college. You know what I'm saying? 35 kids to college from that school. You know, my 7th season there coaching Rucker. Each year graduated, we sent kids to college. That's what it's about. You know, getting them off the streets, you know? That's a big thing with me, too, as a coach, a high school coach, Dave.
Yeah, man, that's really big right there. You got graduates, but before we get into the Rucker days, I want to first talk about. All right, so your Riverside squad, they were playing in tournaments like UDC and the Holcombe Rucker. You know, like, were those rules about, you know, that one tournament per summer like enacted back then? Because it's like now, a lot of guys, let's say if they were to get caught playing in more than one tournament, and even if it's an unsanctioned tournament, you know, they might be forced to sit out a game. Like, were those rules, you know, enforced then?
Yeah, they wasn't enacted. Because, like, Anthony Glover played with me in Rucker, but he wouldn't play with me in UDC. You know what I'm saying? So Sharif Fordham played with me in Rucker, but he wouldn't play with me in UDC. So up in UDC, I would have Derek Mack, I had Nick DeFico, you know, or Courtney Fields, you know, up in UDC. I've still stacked my roster, but I had to split it up. But the guys that played me in Rucker didn't play UDC because, you know, we want to honor that. First of all, we had enough bodies to do it. And second, we didn't even want to play with guys' careers. I mean, you know, you're a Division I player. We don't want to take a chance on ruining your situation because you want to play in a street tournament on the pavement. But these guys, if we will let them, they will play, because they just love to compete. They love to play, you know.
Well, yeah, then again, it's like a lot of people may not understand that, you know, but then again, it's like you said, it's their future. And plus, who wants to waste, you know, their eligibility just for playing street ball?
Yeah.
Like, back then, you could actually get away with it because it's like there wasn't cameras out back then. You could basically put on like fake names in the scorebook, but now they can't do that anymore because there's too many cameras that are out.
Yeah. See, back then, you know what you had guys like Tom Kachowski and Scouts who was at every game. You know what I mean? So these guys are everywhere, and they're writing about everything. So if he write about it, that this guy had 25 points, you was there. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody going to doubt his word. You know what I'm saying? So you have Scouts and other guys like that, Golf, these guys out there looking at these talented kids.
Right.
They say, oh, I saw so-and-so up here playing. No doubt about it. Your name's in the books. You know, they're going to honor, they're going to catch you, and they're going to end up getting enforced, suspended, whatever the case may be. And it's just not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Because your college career is your lights, camera, action. I mean, you know, you know, that's what it is. That's what you worked your whole life for, to get into that situation, to get an opportunity to play at that level and get a chance to go to the A or overseas. You know what I mean? So who's going to jeopardize that? I mean, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And street ball, although I love it, it doesn't really do anything for you back. It doesn't really do anything for you moving forward. Like back in the days, like there was the, you know, everybody knows about the drug dealers giving out the big payments. Whereas now, there's none of those big payments anymore. They're probably getting maybe a couple $100, maybe even $50 to play for these teams.
Right. It's different now. But times, you know, I always say, you know, time is everything. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you know, those times have changed. You know what I'm saying? You know, they've changed. It's not the same way as it used to be any longer. So, you know, but at the end of the day now, you know, the kids are still talented. We have a lot of talent in New York City. Guys are very athletic. You know, it's just a matter of being consistent, I would say, and being dedicated to improving yourself on a daily basis. You know, honoring your craft. You know, like you're a photographer. You work at your craft. That's why people come on the show. You're very humble, but you're everywhere. So how does this dude get to be over? I mean, how did he get the? Because you know what? You respect your craft. You know what I'm saying? You work at your craft. You improve your craft. Now you're adding more to this platform. You know, and some people don't get that. They just, you know, they want to work out just with a trainer or here and there. Nah, what the streets did for us back in the days was just, okay, it just tested you, just kept you sharp. You know, we used to play games like 21. You know the concept of 21, right? 21 is a game where it could be one-on-one, 1 against 10. It's 11 guys on the court playing at the same time, and the first person scored 21 points is winning. How is that improving your skill? On the high school level, because I've worked at all those levels successfully, and I've seen it. If you're dedicated and you work hard, you will put yourself into an opportunity position to do something. But if you're not a hard worker, you're not dedicated, your talent may get you to the door, but as soon as you come across a real coach, you're going to get exposed. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, and some people go away and they come back home fast, Dave. They'd be like, well, the coach didn't like me or whatever the case may be. No, you know what it was? You wasn't ready for that moment.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You know, he wasn't prepared.
In some cases, it could be the coaches, but most of the,
that's true.
90% of the time, it's the players themselves.
Yeah.
And they know it, but they just need a cop-out.
Yeah. You know, to me, it's like, okay, everybody's looking for the perfect situation. Okay? Like, all right, I'm going to find a place where, okay, it's suitable to me. I understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to go to the upper echelon, I'm talking about the top tier. Dude, the top tier, ain't no fudging it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no cutting corners. Ain't no getting around the edges. No. You will have to play 90 feet. You know what I'm saying? 90 feet. You have to pick up end line to end line, sideline to sideline. You know what I'm saying? You have to play. You have to earn it. And if you're not prepared for that, then, you know, it's a grind. I mean, a lot of kids, they want to go D1, and I mean, I'll train them. I'm here. I'm a vehicle. Use me. But if you come through my gym to train with me, be ready, because you're going to get an NBA workout. Because I learn from the best. You know what I'm saying? So there ain't no jokes over here. A lot of people came into my gym and they come back. He was like, oh, man, that dude was trying to burn me out. I said, nah, man, I'm trying to burn you in, son. I'm trying to burn you in. You don't get it. That's it. Dave, that's it. I'm trying to burn you in. You don't get it. Because wherever you go at, if you make it there, you have an opportunity, trust and believe me, they are going to ambulance you. You know what I'm saying?
Well said.
You know, I mean, if I have to give any of the kids today any advice, this is what it really is. Real talk. You know, and I've seen it. And those guys, when you get to the pro level, they are not playing around.
Mm-hmm.
You are coming into a situation where you're trying to take food off somebody's table, a grown man. You know what I'm saying? You know, who've been playing in the league. And listen, you have to come in there with talent, skill set, and some hard work ethic, you know, to move that person off the roster. You know, they lift weights every single day. You know, they run every single day. He's working at their craft every single day. So, you know, but, you know, we have a lot of talented, athletic kids, though. I would say kids today are very athletic. I've seen some kids do things. I'm like, wow, amazing. But can you keep doing it, though? That's the question. For 4 quarters. Not one time. Not just one highlight. You know what I mean? You got to be able to keep doing it. You know what I mean? So that's really what it's about. Can you keep doing it? You know? Because you take photographs. You see games. You see kids, you be like, wow, that's a nice move. You ever see somebody see a really, really nice move? You say, that's great. But then you don't see it again the rest of the game. You know what I'm saying? You be like, what happened? He did this amazing move. I ain't see it no more. You know? With us, we keep it simple. You know? And when we use up, you know, when we was coming up, if my A move is what worked, I'm going to keep doing my A move. I ain't got to go to B, C, nor D, nor E, because A works. So if I have to go to my B move, that means you're defending A. If I have to go to my C move, that means you're defending A and B. Now you're making me work. You know what I mean? you know, simple. I mean, if you look at it that way, though.
No, I hear that, man. So let's talk about, you know, the current phase.
Okay.
When did Rucker, or shall I say, the formerly known Holcombe Rucker High School come into play?
Well, I came to Rucker around 2011. I was at the middle school, like I was telling you, and I had won the city championship, and it was like, okay, what else can you accomplish after you number one at the middle school level, pretty much. So I was like, you know what, time to get a meaningful job. But I didn't want to rush to it. So around 2011, 2012, Shavon Glove, a good friend of mine, shout out Shavon, you know, I saw it Smart Ball. She's like, Reggie, you know, Sharif Rucker, coach, the principal of Rucker, he's looking for a coach. Then a friend of mine, Kashif Hamid, shout out to Kashif, went to Iona. He's a principal at Promise Academy. My guy, we did our master's degree together at Mercy College. He called me because he was interviewing for the job, and he told Rucker, I got a guy for you, the perfect guy for you. Because he said, I can't do it right now because he was going to the leadership program to be a principal. And so he said, listen, he had an interview with him. He said, but I got the guy for you. And so he told him about me, and I gave him my resume, and I came in there, and I interviewed for the job, and I got the job. 2012, it was like, wow, this guy has coached this many places. Like, we get a chance to get him. I said, yeah, why not? You know, Rucker, why not? Get one of the best for Rucker, you know? So 2012, I started coaching there in the B division. It was a developmental program. Then we moved into the B division. My first year, we went 500, like 9-9, made the playoffs. First year, out the blocks. You know, with a bunch of kids in the school who really didn't understand what hard work was about. You know what I'm saying? Dave, I came into practice with guys telling me, oh, you need me, son. I said, what's your grades like, son? He said, huh? I said, come on, man. If you don't go to class, I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to come in. And I started working. He was like, they wasn't used to running like that, working like that. Here I am, a college coach coming in, coaching high school guys. I'm running like we at SUNY. I'm like, oh, I'm a slave these guys. You know what I mean? So I'm running these guys, but I brung bananas in there. I brung water. I brung, cereal bars. It's like, why is he bringing all this stuff? Don't worry about it. You'll see. I don't want that. We don't eat that. All right, you'll see. When I start working them out, they start going over there, snatching that stuff, eating it, man, so fast. And so we built a program. And then made to the playoffs, lost in the second round. Won a playoff game too. And we lost to the number 2 team, ranked team. And it was a good game. And the coach was like, yo, you're going to be something to deal with. I could tell right away. You know what I mean? Then the second year, some of my middle school players, had transferred over to school, to Rucker. said, oh, coach, you at Rucker? So I didn't ask for transfer. They got situations, safety transfers.
Mm-hmm.
Came into the school, but anyway, right away, went to the number 4 ranked team in the city. You know, we won like 14-4, something like that. Overall, 20-5, something like that. And then we lost in the semifinals in the B Division championship at City College against Fannie Lou. You know, so I was like, okay, now we going. And the next year, we finished like 20-1. We was number 2 ranked team in the city. Number 1, you know, same thing. Went to the Final Four, lost the Final Four. We should have been the championship team. By the third year, the PSAL was like, yo, you can't be in the B Division no more, man. You know, I didn't even win the B Division, but they was like, you can't be in the B Division no more because, you know, we went like something like 40-3 or 4 in like in 2-3 years, you know, at Rucker. So, and then in the summertime, I'm playing, we in everything. So everybody's seeing us. We out in Rucker Park, we in Smart Ball, we're here, we're there, you know, because I had really motivated kids. And they played really, really hard. They knew my style, you know. And then they moved us to the A Division, and the next year we moved to the A Division, and we made to the Elite 8, you know. And I had a kid who led the city in scoring. So we made the playoffs. We always had a competitive program, you know. And then a couple years after that, they shut the building down, Rucker. So, you know, and now here I am with the prep now, Longwood Prep Academy. Longwood Prep Academy. Shout out. Asia Johnson, principal, Longwood Prep Academy. She's doing her thing, you know, and she's building a program there. And, you know, for me, starting all over again, you know, which is an arduous task. You know what I mean?
Now, let's talk about Longwood Prep.
Yeah, so Longwood
the
Prep
school
now,
in the program.
The school is a good school. It's a good program. They have a small program. I always say it's not the size, but at the end of the day, you're in a smaller school. It's not as big. It's not 6, 7, 8 schools in the building. We're on Longwood Avenue in the Bronx, over there, right near Hunts Point. And we have a small population, about 400, 500 kids, 500-something kids.
Right.
You know? And basically, we're in the A Division, Northwest A Division. They have a lot of good programs going over there. They do a lot of good stuff. It's a college-bound program. She's got a lot of stuff going on over there that she does, you know, with the kids and stuff like that. She brings a lot of people in, guest speakers and people to come in, like entertainers and stars to speak to kids in the school. There's a school inside the building called Co-op Tech, which is not a part of Longwood Prep, but they have trades in that school building which is connected to our school, where kids can get nursing and, you know, like certification we're doing hair and stuff like that, and carpentry, electrical skills, while they still getting their high school diploma at the same time. You know, so Longwood can afford you the academics. It's a smaller school. All the teachers will know your name. The school bill is literally 2 flights. You know, it's literally. But that's good because that way you can't really roam around. You know what I mean? You know, all the teachers know you, the deans know you, the counselors know you. It's a home. You know, if you go to our IG account, go to Longwood Prep Academy, you'll be able to see it. If you want to see the boys varsity basketball, we have the LPA boys bars. You'll see my team, see myself, and you see some of the games and stuff that we do, IG and stuff like that. And we're just building, you know, because what it is just new. Like, you know how when you start over, kids have to now begin to adapt to your style. You know what I mean? And, you know how it is. Sometimes it can be like pulling teeth. Sometimes it could be, you know, a layup. The way I do it, it's like pulling teeth. Like this guy, he's old school, but at the same time, I'm flexible to new. I understand rankings. I understand, you know, being out there on Instagram and getting yourself out there overtime. I understand exposing yourself, promoting yourself, having Dave's joint come to your game and take pictures. You know, I understand all that stuff. I'm with it. I'm in every tournament. You see me around. You know, we in Gauchos in City Legends. We're in Scanlon, you know, tournament with Dwayne and them. I use my connections to get my kids in all the events. So people can't say that. You know, we you know, we have sneakers, Nikes, and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, you know, we're not sponsored by Nike, but we get them. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, our kids, you know, we're building. We're building a program. I mean, you know, I always say it's not the size of the dog in the fight. The size of the fight in the dog. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we're building. And we will be a force, again, to be reckoned with. You know, it's just, it takes time sometimes, you know what I mean, for kids to understand. You know, this year, we had a rough season. We could have had a better season. We missed the playoff by about a couple of games, but I had a bunch of JV kids and some of my top-notch players, they didn't do what they were supposed to do around the school building, and I have a zero tolerance when it comes to academics and behavior. If you're not behaving properly in the school building, and if you're not getting your academics done, it doesn't matter how talented you are. I will play with lesser players. And some of the guys in the city will not do that.
Exactly.
They won't do that. They won't do that.
They gon' exactly. Because, you know, it's true. A lot of the bigger programs, they can't afford to discipline certain kids, because if not, they'll leave. And also, it's like, it's not just because of the kids, but also they have reputations. They have, you know, sneaker deals or whatnot. So there's a whole lot of reasons why they'll let the kids slide.
Right. And I understand that. But at the same time, okay, what are we teaching our kids, though?
That's another thing.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where the business comes in. And this is where we understand the connection of understanding that this kid has to move forward. And as he moves forward, are we preparing him for the next level properly? Because let's think about it. If you think you slide here, you think you can slide there.
Yeah.
I had a 6'7" kid. He didn't do no work left-handed, 6'8" kid. I had another kid, 6'5", from Dominican Republic. This kid can play. He's talented. I mean, I had another kid. They played varsity last year, but I wasn't letting them play this year because they wasn't doing the right thing.
Wow.
These guys, I finally cleared them to play the last 6 games of the season. We went 5-1, 4-2, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, yo, we would have won with these guys on the floor. But I'm telling them, hey, listen, man, I'm not going to allow that, man. So go to the, you know, outside teams in the street or whatever and let them deal with you like that. I'm preparing you for college and for life, son. You know what I mean? When you leave me, you're going to understand what it's like to succeed, you know? And then if you're failing, you're going to know. Ain't no coach going to have you on the team if you're not getting the job done, you know? And so we have to do that at the public school level as well.
Exactly.
You know, we got to have some conviction about what we're doing here. You know, as the coaches, they look up to us, you know? And if we're not doing it the right way, they're going to be like, man, this dude right here, he's a clown. You know, this coach is a clown. He let me play. I act all kind of silly around the school. You know, I don't do my work. You know, I'll be having my cell phone. I'm like, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, man. You know. So at the end of the day, it was a process, though. Trust it. You know, you have to trust the process. But I tell you what, though, the ones who stick, all my seniors this year, all going to college right now. I had 5 seniors. One is in Buffalo State College. One is in Adelphi. No, one is in Delphi. No, yeah, these are academic, not athletically now. Another one was accepted to St. Francis. I mean, we don't play when it comes to college. You know, another one's even going to Hostos. Another one's going to BMCC. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's okay. Look, as long as you go to college, get a higher education. So the seniors who did finish out the season and play with me, they're going away. They're going to college. So I'm proud about that. That's 4 more, you know, from Longwood Prep. So we're about college, higher education.
Absolutely, man. Shout outs to the senior class of 2020. You know, they went through so much, you know, virtual graduation, COVID-19, but at least, you know, they made it to college, you know, which is the most important thing.
Yeah. Dave, I mean, they're going to be stronger. If you can make it through this, you can make it through anything.
Absolutely.
If you can make it through this and be successful, I mean, people are looking at it the other way. I'm looking at it the other way. Like, okay, if you can make it through this and strive and thrive and grow, like, okay, let's just take you for an example. Look at how much you've grown, Dave, during this time period.
Yeah.
Honestly, your stock has risen. Yo, dude, you're a commodity now. I'm keeping it real with you.
That is kind of true. That is kind of true.
Dude, you wasn't this dude before the COVID. You wasn't this guy. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I believe that. I believe that I wasn't expecting to be, but you know, we all got to reinvent ourselves in some type of way. You know, you can't keep doing the same things. Unfortunately.
Yep. And see, Dave, and that's what it's all about. There's growth. See, you growing during a tumultuous time on the earth.
Yeah.
Dude, you're thriving. in the worst possible situations. You're developing. You're becoming, as Michelle Obama would say, you know. And then look at you. You have this show. You have everybody wants to be speaking on your show because you're a very humble guy. You're the model of humility, I would have to say. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, a quiet guy, but very classy. And your work speaks for itself. Those pictures is damn good. That's what I'm going to say. You know what I'm saying? A lot of your photos, spot on. You have a good eye. And so people could see that. And then they take to people like that. And so now, amidst all the situation that's going on, look at this guy. Look at certain people are just doing that still. You know, we're still growing in this time period. So I think kids who are able to make it through this shit, and I'm speaking to all the kids who graduate this time. Shout out to you guys. Listen, yeah, it's been rough and it's still continuing to be tough, but if you can make it now during this time, you can make it. You can make it out there because you have to do so much. You have to be concerned with your safety, concerned with your health, concerned with what you're doing, and you have to watch the way you do what you're doing. Everything now is micromanaged now, you know? So you sat down and said, hold up, let me recreate myself. Let me reinvent myself. Let me, you know what I mean? Let me twist it here, twist it there, and look at what's coming out of it. Beautiful, a rose. You know what I mean? Shout out to you, bro. I take my hat off to you, man. I'm very proud of you, man.
I appreciate that, man.
So, I mean that.
Nah, I really do. I appreciate you. No, so I have a question that I love to ask my guests before I lead up to the final question. So, if you could go back in a time machine to 1978, what would you tell young Reginald Van Howard at 15 when the varsity coach at Lehman High School rejected him?
I would tell myself, if I knew what I know now back then, stick with it. Stick with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because for me, I always had a strong mind, a strong mentality. Like, you know, if I felt rejected, I would feel some kind of way and I wouldn't stick with it. I would just walk away from it. So, you know what? I'm going to fall back. I'm going to just do something different. But I really didn't want to play high school varsity ball, even though, you know, I knew I was one of the better players. I would have stuck with it. I would have went to the coach and I would say, you know what? That's the past. This is now. Let's just move forward in our relationship. You know, I'm going to join your team. I'm going to play for you. You know what I mean? Despite what I may think, you know, about you in terms of like your ability to send players at the next level. Because when I was in that school, the best player I seen there was George Washington. He went to Marshall University. He came from Patterson, from my neighborhood. So I know him. He used to hang out with my brother. And I was like, this is the best guy you seen. All the other guys, I didn't see them go nowhere, really. No big-time schools. So I was like, I don't know if you got the plug. So I'm judging him, but I shouldn't have did that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I should have just stuck with it, you know, and been a little bit more understandable about the situation, you know. But that was now, I mean, that's what I would tell myself back then, you know.
So final question. What's next in the future for Reggie V Howard?
Well, I got some surprises coming, just to let you know. There's a lot of good stuff going. You talked about reinventing yourself. As we speak, I'm doing certain things right now. I just don't want to reveal it to people, but please believe. The man sitting right here, right now, I got plans. You know what I'm saying? I got plans, and I'm about to, you know, put my hat in certain situations, whatever the case may be, build this program right here. But I've had this opportunity to focus on my life and what I'm doing right now, work on myself. And I don't want to reveal it, but I have some things coming up. It's going to be a surprise. But, you know, I'm going to stay within the community, you know, and I'm just praying to the man upstairs that everything works out the way I want it to work out. But it's a couple of options, though. You know, it's a couple of options with these situations that's in front of me. So I thank God, you know, for the blessings. You know, like I said, I just been fortunate. I've been blessed, Dave, and to be honest, like I said, you know, the blessings, they're still coming. It's coming in different ways. You know?
Indeed.
But, I don't want to reveal it, but we'll be doing something.
Thank you so much, Reg. And I wish you and Longwood Prep nothing but the best of luck moving forward.
Hey, Dave, thanks you for having me on. I appreciate it very much. Listen, man, keep doing what you do. Remain humble, man. Keep doing your thing, man. And, you know, I'm always listening to your interviews, man. And any way in which I can support you and help you, brother, reach out, man. You know what I'm saying? Reach out. You know what I mean? I'm here for you, man. You know?
Indeed.
So, you know, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, man. So, everybody, this is episode 73 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. Shout outs to everybody that's been supporting me so far. And also, for those of you that know Reggie from Mitchel Projects, Lehman High School, City College, SUNY Purchase, Holcombe Rucker / Longwood Prep Academy, you know, anybody that knows him out there, check out this interview on Facebook, YouTube, and IGTV. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.